This is Susan Levy-Spector, your life coach for life change. And what I'd like to share with you today is a conceptual technique which, if you choose to use it, is guaranteed to make your journey through life an easier, more effective, and more fulfilling one. I'm talking about harnessing the power of belief, learning to unleash your highest potential with the power of your own mind. You may well ask, how can what I believe be so important? Simply put, what you believe, for better or worse, will determine how you act and what you feel. Interestingly, in many cases our beliefs about ourselves and our world have never been subject to conscious scrutiny. Much of what we believe has been handed down to us. From birth onward, our parents, families, friends, teachers, clergy, media, etc. give us countless messages about who we are, what we can expect, what life is like. Unfortunately, as children, we are not in a position to evaluate the actual merit of what we are being told. The famous developmental psychologist Jean Piaget demonstrated that children do not reach full adult cognitive functioning until around the age of 12. That means much of what we hear before that time slips under the radar screen of our critical judgment. Well, that would be fine if everything you heard came from truly wise, sensitive, and loving people who had no baggage of their own and were always looking out for your best interest. But which of us has not experienced someone, perhaps many someones, well-intentioned or not, telling us so-called truths about ourselves? Which of us was told we were too stupid to learn, too small to get picked for the team, too lazy to achieve, too selfish to deserve, too plain to attract, too flawed to love? The killer is that like little sponges we absorb these beliefs into ourselves with toxic results. Ask yourself this: if you truly believed you could not do something, what are the chances are you would even give it a try? Not very likely, right? On the other hand, if there was something you really wanted to do, be, or have, and you had unlimited resources and knew you could not fail, is there anything that would stop you from going after it? If you're like most people, the answer is a resounding no. Well, the only difference between the first scenario and the second is your own belief about whether or not you can succeed. Webster's Dictionary's first definition of the word belief is acceptance of something as true. Notice it did not say that a belief was something that was true, but merely accepted as such. Big difference. It means a belief is not necessarily a fact. It's really just a type of thought, an opinion, a view. It may be accurate, but it may have nothing whatever to do with reality or truth. And this is really important. Neither its popularity nor the strength with which it is held is in itself proof that it is a fact. Let's look to history for an example. In the 1400s and before, the prevailing belief was that the earth was flat. Everyone knew that. You didn't see a whole lot of eager sailors pointing the mast directly for the horizon line. Well, they would have had to have been crazy or suicidal to do so. Now, there was a guy named Columbus who had a different set of beliefs. Since his did not include falling off the face of the earth, he was willing to make an awesome journey. How about the story of Helen Keller, a young girl rendered deaf and blind by disease at a very early age? As she grew older, she became increasingly wild and unmanageable. Her adoring parents were in despair. Their choice put her in an institution, a particularly frightful alternative at that point in time, or try to find someone who could make her more docile, like taming a wild animal. Captain and Mrs. Keller believed that was the most they could hope for from their terribly impaired daughter. They believed it would be cruel to expect any more from her. In desperation, they hired a young teacher to come live with them, hoping that she would help to control their child. Her name was Annie Sullivan. Luckily, Annie did not share the same set of limiting beliefs about young Helen. Now, you've probably heard of Helen Keller, but in case you haven't, here is a partial list of some of her accomplishments. She was the first blind and deaf person ever to graduate college. That was in 1904. And she graduated with high honors from Radcliffe. She won the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964. She is part of the National Women's Hall of Fame. She is one of the 100 most important women of the 20th century, and in the book, The 100 Most Influential Women of All Time, she comes in number 18, and Annie Sullivan comes in number 19. When you're telling yourself what you can't possibly do, and you believe that, remind yourself of Helen and Annie. Einstein said, "The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking which created them." Anwar Sadat said, "He who cannot change the very fabric of his thought will never be able to change reality and will never, therefore, make any progress." What are these men telling us? They're telling us that when we're stuck, when we feel up against it, whether on a societal or a personal level, we must be willing to expand our consciousness and challenge our assumptions and beliefs, even our most dearly held ones. Now, I'm not beginning to suggest what it is you should believe, but only pointing out that you do, in fact, have a choice in the matter. So here's the technique I promised you. When you're feeling stagnant on the job, unfulfilled at home, unsure of your place in the universe, take some time and ferret out the limiting belief or beliefs that are underlying those feelings. Write them down. Then ask yourself the following questions and write down your answers. 1. Is what you're telling yourself an indisputable fact? It rarely is. 2. How well does that belief serve you? 3. Is there some other belief that would serve you better? And what is it? 4. What actions would you take if you adopted this new belief? Then take those actions and watch yourself soar. You know, there is a tongue-in-cheek definition of insanity that says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I'd like to propose a corollary to that. Insanity is believing the same thing and expecting different results. Belief is the mother of action. Choose yours wisely. Till next time, I'm Susan Levy Spector, your life coach for life change. Have a great day.